Hello and welcome to this GenioNotes tutorial from the Educational Assistive Technology Centre here in UL. GenioNotes is the new name for what was formerly known as Lean, so you may have heard it referred to as Lean in the past. They rebranded in the summer of 2025. The product is mostly the same, but we felt it was time for a new video to show all the features that GenioNotes offers. When you first log into Genio, you will see this as your home screen, which has a big list of everything that you have recorded. This can be a bit overwhelming, so it is best to try and keep things organized using collections. On the page here, we've got a tab called Collection. If I go down to an event that doesn't have one in particular, I can click Add to Collection. It brings up this window here in the center where I get a list of all of my collections, and then I can just choose one. So I'll just choose EX1234. That puts the collection name under the tab here. So typically you would have a collection for each of your modules each semester. If I click on EX1234 under this tab, this brings a list up of everything that I put into this collection. So this would typically be each recording you've done for each lecture, any notes you've taken during grinds, anything like that. So it's a great way of keeping your notes organized. To create collections, you simply go here to the collections tab and just hit new collection, and you can just give it a name. So we'll just call this EX this. And that creates the collection, and down at the bottom here you can instantly start creating a new event if you want, or you can just leave and go back and it'll be in your collections. So how do we actually record using GenioNotes? Back on our home tab, if I go to the top and click on new event, this brings us into the main screen. Typically, you would start by giving your event a name. The easiest way to do this is to give it your module code number and then maybe the date that the class is taking place on. So we'll just call this Wednesday, 3rd of September. And this will help you identify it later on, but you can give this any name you want. This is obviously just an example. The next thing you would typically do is we'll look down here at at the GenioNotes screen. So if you have the slides before class, you would hopefully be able to upload them here. This is why it's important to download these from Brightspace onto your computer or whatever way your module leader provides you with slides beforehand. If you aren't getting those slides beforehand, maybe come and chat to Disability Services or ourselves, and we can speak with your module leaders about getting you those materials beforehand if you need them. For now, I'm just going to come here and choose a presentation. I'll choose this one. PowerPoint files can take a little bit of time to upload. It is usually better if you can convert them into PDFs. This is why preparation beforehand can be really helpful, especially with large presentations. You would typically open them in PowerPoint and just save them as a PDF. You can also do this step before you get to the class. So maybe if you're getting the lecture slides a day in advance, you can set up your events for the following day, the night before, and then when you get into class, all you have to do is open the event and it will be right here for you. So our screen is divided into three sections. We've got the slides on the left-hand side, our notes are in the middle, and our audio recording will be on the right-hand side. You can customize this to suit your needs, so you can hide any of these tabs in the layouts option, which is up here. For this demonstration, I'm going to leave them all on, but you can experiment with this yourself. Some people like to hide the audio recording on the right-hand side as they find it distracting. Others like to leave everything in place. So when the class is about to begin, at the top left-hand side, you simply click on record. then you've got a couple of options. So recording using the microphone just uses the inbuilt microphone on your device. So if you're using your laptop, that would be the microphone on the laptop. You can also choose to use the screen audio. This would be if you are recording an online class and you don't want to record yourself at the same time. This is very handy if your class is being delivered via Teams or a Zoom webinar, anything like that. The final option is your screen audio and microphone. So that's if it's an online class, but you do want to record yourself as well. So this would be more if it's a tutorial where it's being delivered online via Teams, but you are expected to contribute and you want to record your own contributions as well. For this demonstration, I'm going to choose microphone. It's now started to record. You'll see here on the right hand side, we kind of have a timeline going across that shows the kind of the waveform as people are speaking. Some people again can find this distracting, but you can hide it. Genio has already grabbed the title of my first slide and put it in as a heading, which you can see there on the right side in the audio. And what you would typically then do is start to take some notes. The idea with Genio is to take short bullet points, and that you're not under as much pressure to take take everything down in one go. When the lecturer would move on to the next slide in the presentation, you can just click here to post next slide, which will advance it on your screen as well. It puts in a heading for you based on what the heading is on the slide itself. So this can be really helpful when you come to review your notes, and I'll show that later on. Again, you take bullet points throughout, which gives you less pressure to take notes. You can mark things as being important. So if the lecturer is speaking about an assignment, for instance, you can just say assignment is due on the 25th, and it puts a little symbol next to it so you know that you need to come back and view that later. You can format the text here as well if you want. So we'll just say, for instance, assignment is on topic 15. If I wanted to make sure that this was really stood out to me, I could make topic 15 bold before I hit enter to post it. There are other options then. You can mark these options here for putting in your own heading. You can mark things as a review item. So that will just give you different symbols so that you can easily come back to it. You can then post the next slide. So you can also put in images into the text. So if I click on this here, this brings up a Google image search. So if I, for instance, was to search for, we'll just say puppies and do an image search, it brings up images like this. You can also import images from your computer, or if you're using Genio on your mobile, you can take quick snapshots of the screen and put these directly in as well. And we'll talk about that at the end. You can also put in definitions. So if I click on this button, this brings up a search box which will grab a definition from Wikipedia. So this can be a great way if the lecturer is covering a topic that you know you need to research more about. So we'll just say the 1916 Rising. If I just do a search for that, it brings up our first result here, and I can then put this into my notes. So if I just click on this one, it puts it into my notes. Now these are Wikipedia definitions, so you know yourself, you can't take those as gospel, but it's a great jumping off point for further research. Finally, on our notes tab here, you can click on the sketch item. So this works really great if you're using this on an iPad or if you have a touch screen. You can actually draw images which can go directly into your notes. This can be really helpful if you, for instance, are putting in maths symbols or just diagrams from the board. This can be really helpful, and they go directly into your notes. The final thing to note then is that on the slides themselves, you can actually annotate them within um, Genio. So you've got loads of different options here for overlaying text onto the slides and just marking them up as you go along. So those settings are here and you can play around with those as well. Okay, so then when you've finished your class, you would simply just stop the recording. And that concludes the recording section. When you go back to review these notes at a later time, you can see now that each of these that we've entered has a timestamp next to it and a play button. So if I were to click on play here, you can format the text here as well if you want. So we'll just, so that plays back the audio from that point in the class that you've recorded. And what you can do is using the audio as a guide, you can then expand these notes. So um, I must write 1.5 pages on the causes of the rising. And this lets you expand your notes. So again, the idea of Genio is to take away the pressure of taking everything down in the class. You can review it later on. You can also listen back to the entire lecture by just pressing the play. For instance, play button. Assignment is on like this. You can also change the playback speed using these settings here. So if we choose this one and just hit play, topic 15, if I wanted to make sure that this was, that will play it back much faster, depending on what you need. Okay, so some final features then to just walk through is over here on the right hand side. So we've got our audio, but Genio will also do a transcript for you. So if I click on transcript and then click transcribe audio, I can then choose the language I want. So Genio will do transcriptions in lots of different languages, but I'm just going to choose English. And it will take some time to generate that transcript in the background. So it has our transcript. It's usually fairly accurate, but you can't rely on this being 100% accurate, especially if you're sitting far back in a lecture theatre. But it really is to give you a guide. This works really well in smaller classrooms, but um, it's there to give you an extra point of information when you go revising. Based on the transcript, it will also try and generate an outline. So if I click on Generate Outline in this tab, it will try to summarize the lecture and give it a few bullet points that summarize it. Again, I found this to be pretty accurate, but it is using artificial intelligence, so your mileage may vary. The other feature that some students really like is this feature up here at the top right. It's a little mortarboard symbol, and this is the Quiz Me section. So if I click that, this section creates multiple choice questions for you based on the content. So if I click on Start the Quiz, it pops up questions multiple choice, and I can just click Answers here. I'm not even attempting to get these right. Got both those wrong, wrong, like this. And it gives you a review after so that you can go back through it. Um, this is really handy. Again, it is based on that transcript, so if the transcript isn't accurate, these won't be accurate. But it's a helpful study tool to have, and it's there. When it comes time then to export your notes, you can actually view the notes like this in a notes view, which is that button up at the top right. This is why it's important to have the slides. It will put all of your notes for each individual slide underneath that slide. So if you're moving on the slides as the lecturer is moving them on in the class, it's a great way of keeping everything organized together. It also puts in your images, it puts in everything like that together in one nice handy place. If I go back out of this view, the final thing I'll just show is that you can export these as well. So you can copy the notes, um, and if you copy that and paste it into a Microsoft Word document, you'll have them in a nice little format. Um, you can also copy the transcript and do the same thing. These are just copy and paste tools. Final things then, you can in here do stuff like remove the slides, replace them with different slides if the lecturer is after updating stuff. You can delete various things, and I suppose one of the key features is you can import audio. So if you have, for instance, a podcast that you need to listen to, you can import it into Genio. You can listen along and take notes in real time with it, or it will generate a transcript for you and an outline and do the quiz me stuff using that as well. So this has just been a very quick introduction to GenioNotes for 2025-26. Um, if you have any questions about it, feel free to get in touch with us here in the Assistive Technology Centre, william.nolan@ul.ie, or you can email disabilityservices@ul.ie to get in touch about getting a referral to get access to this software.